And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Rolling up. Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Water towers fly!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange!
R25. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. What is it? Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to what might be the last countdown to launch before our launch coverage of Starship. We are less than, what's the time? 16 hours, 57 minutes, 26 seconds away from the opening of the 120-minute launch window for Starship. And I can tell you the excitement is building up in the team. And apparently everybody is kind of busy doing all kind of things to prepare for that coverage. So they left Alex and me here for bringing you a bit of a, I don't know, like a last minute what you need to know for tomorrow. So Alex, are you ready to talk 60 or so minutes with me about everything you need to know until tomorrow?
Sure, why not? I can go 60 hours now. But yeah, it's all up to the Europeans, right? I think even there's a certain European also operating today's stream. But yeah, everybody is very busy out there. We had, the people at the Cape have also been busy this morning because we have had the launch of a Starliner finally with crew on board. So everybody is busy. People getting ready for Starship. We had Starliner this morning. So of course, it's up to us to take the podium here and just try to get some questions. There's things that have happened in since the last countdown to launch. Kind of crazy that there's still things happening, but yes, there is thing happening, and there's things that are going to happen. So let's talk about them, right?
Absolutely. And before that, I want to thank Ryan Caton and Carson behind the scenes, making sure that today's show runs as well as we'll do. And with that, Alex, do you mind giving us an overview? What has happened since the last countdown to launch? And where's Starship right now?
Well, we had the D-stack of Ship 29 for Booster 11. And, well, we were hoping that because of that D-stack, they will, put those final two tiles. There were, some hopes about that. But no, it seems like those two tiles, as you can see there on your screen, they are still missing. And there's also the other one, like a third one that is like thinner or something like that. So these might be some kind of, tests that they're trying to do precisely for the re-entry path of Ship 29. But yeah, that's, now it's, back to full stack, as you can see there on your screen. And we had a big thing yesterday, which was the license modification was finally granted, but there's a lot more than just, they got the license. There's obviously a lot more, and we'll talk about that as well. And we are less than 17 hours from launch, hopefully, because there's a 2-hour window tomorrow, 7 a.m. Central, 1200 UTC. It goes up until 9 a.m. Central. It's a 2-hour window. So anywhere in between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. Central, that could happen. So at minimum, at the very least, less than 17 hours to launch.
And I'm already, as always, I'm feeling it as well. I'm looking forward to all the things that will happen tomorrow. And as always, with this show, you have Alex on, you have me on. We want to answer as many questions as we can. That's the goal of this stream. So make sure to tag at NASASpaceflight in chat if you have any questions, and I see them here in my little panel and can throw them to Alex or answer them myself. Starting actually with a question here, Alex. Ruben is wondering, why do they have now a 120-minute launch window, but IFT3 had a shorter one?
I think for flight 3 was 110. It was not that much shorter though. Like it was just 10 minutes shorter. It was from 7 a.m. to 8:50 a.m. For flight 1, I think it was a 32-minute window, if I remember correctly. The second attempt. The first attempt was a 120-minute window, essentially 2-hour window. But for the second attempt of flight 1, the one that they actually went through and launched, that was just 32 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, in flight 2, they usually have different dates with different windows. We usually get the question like, why do they have a launch window in the first place? If you can launch your Starship whenever you can and still re-enter over the Indian Ocean whenever you can. There's no orbit to target, right? Like there's no ISS to meet up with or get into a certain slot in orbit or something like that. It's just going from the from South Texas all the way out to the Indian Ocean. So the whole reason comes down to, first, what they need to do. The reentry portion over the Indian Ocean, for example, is somewhat at sort of like sunset, but not full sunset, so they can still see the streak and can locate if the thing just breaks up or something like that. They could locate that, for example, if that were to be the case. On the other hand, for the launch side of things, well, it's launching right after sunrise, so that's another benefit, that they have sunlight to be able to track the rocket in flight and things like that. At the same time, we know that they use assets in orbit. So they use a Starlink, but they also use NASA's TDRS satellite constellation, right? So those have a certain sort of set times when to be used. And so you don't want to be, clogging that system for like the whole day. Especially now that there's like a capsule going out to the International Space Station, you can kind of imagine that there's probably some overloading there of using the TDRS communication satellites. But then also Starlink, on the other hand, it's not like you can use it on every single moment. There's some times where it's more optimum and things like that. If I remember correctly, during the first flight of a Starship, the reason why it was shorter time, the second attempt, I think it even had to do with the GPS constellation, that it was like the optimal time to use it during those 32 minutes. So it comes down to a lot of other things, trying to get a lot of other things that are not orbital mechanics, but still kind of orbital related, trying to align things in the perfect window. But yeah, that was another Alex answer, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what's this for. So I'm glad we got that, and I also learned some things here. So thank you so much for that, Alex. And yeah, I think we have to address a question that is coming up here a lot, and I'm already asking for that tile picture if we have it, or like because there's a lot of people wondering what's with these missing 3 tiles. What's the situation with all of these 3 tiles that are missing at the bottom? And I'm not sure if it's what I will. It's it's at the second page, Ryan. I'm just doing this right now live. But yeah,
I mean, you can already see it there on that view already. It's a very striking kind of
you can
thing
see
there.
2 of them.
So you can see there you go. So yeah, those other 2 tiles are missing, and then there's like another third location where it's not that it is missing, but it looks like it's like a thinner tile. It's way thinner. So there you can see. So sorry, Adrian. What's the question in particular? Because
What's up with these tiles, Alex?
Look at
that. Oh, we have an arrow.
We have an arrow. Oh my god! Is this like
arrow's even
art?
pointing?
Is this like
I think this is live Ryan art. But yeah, Alex, enlighten us. What's up with these 3 tiles? Do we know? Is there a tank behind this? What's up with these 3 tiles?
Yeah, so I'll go first to like what we have seen before these tiles went in and the thin tile and everything. Before this, there were like a few patches of missing tiles here, and they were like going back to previous pictures, I'm sorry for the operators. I don't really have them ready or anything. So, and also to the audience, I don't have them ready, so I'll just describe them. But there's like a on that portion where the thinner tile is there located, there was like a little hole in one place and another one that was different. As you can see, there's like 3 points, 3 dots on the other 2 missing tiles. Those are where the tiles are tacked on. So there's essentially like pins that the tile is point. Yeah, those 3. And so it is not that what we saw were like little holes in that section, and there's a potential here that what they have done is perhaps on purpose put this thinner tile in that location and then put maybe some kind of sensor behind that, and maybe that's why they had to cut in there to be able to get to that location. The thing is, as you were mentioning, there's not a tank behind these 3 tiles, these 3 locations, or rather the 2 missing tiles and the third thinner tile. There's not a tank. This is the skirt section, the engine section of the ship. And the thing is, once the ship re-enters, once it goes through this thing that I have behind me, if it actually survives the re-entry, and for whatever reason there's like a burn through and it damages things on that side, what you have right behind that is an Raptor vacuum engine, which is not going to be used after the re-entry, right? So the only engines that will be used after a re-entry will be the center engines. Those are going to be used for hopefully a flip and landing burn of Ship 29. We'll talk more about the profile and everything later today and tomorrow as well on our launch live stream. But yeah, that's essentially the thing here that we think is happening, that they probably did this on purpose to test a thinner tile material, which is probably already present on other locations, but they may be trying this on a location that is slightly higher heating, because it's like right in the belly. It's just on the bottom on the skirt. And if you think about it, if they can make the heat shield thinner, that means they can just reduce the whole mass of the ship. And that's really important to get the performance up. They're going to be going to version 2. Version 2 is stretched a bit. It's not a huge thing. It's just one extra ring that they are adding to the ship, but it's still an extra portion of the ship that they need to protect, right? So that could be a reason to do this kind of test. Again, there's no confirmation. There's nothing at all, but I'm just trying to say, hey, we've seen this, right? It kind of looks like a thin tile. What else could it be for? And the first thing that can come to mind is precisely just cutting down on the weight, cutting down on the mass. That is, all the dry mass, the one that is not propellant or anything like it. And the other 2 missing tiles, maybe they're just trying to say, hey, maybe what if some places don't even have tiles? So that could be also a reason to just do this kind of testing. And if for whatever reason there was a burn through, because with this kind of testing, I guess it could be a good reason to have a burn through. Behind it, there's just a Raptor vacuum, so it's not going to be used. It's not a big deal. The ship is not going to be recovered either ways. Even if it lands successfully on the ocean, it's not going to be recovered. So whatever. They have sensors and everything. Yeah, that's the whole speculation
Absolutely.
about this.
Let's focus our attention in general a bit on Ship 29 here, because while we are at it, we have to, I guess, talk about the upper stage here and what's new, what's old, right? So just to recap for everybody that is maybe not super in the loop and just started watching again now that it's getting closer to flight. We still have a 6-engine ship, and that will stay for that for the foreseeable future until we are getting a major upgrade of V3 for the ship. And besides that, Alex, is there anything? What would you say is the most significant change on this ship versus the last flight?
Well, I guess apart from all the heat shield testing, that they have done, which to be fair, it was also something that they did already with 28. But one of the main reasons why Ship 28 failed, this body over here, was precisely that when it was in the coast phase, it was not really, it was not controlling itself properly because the roll control thrusters were clogged. and well, they were not able to get through reentry precisely because of that attitude control issue. So of course, whenever they got the opportunity to review all of that, they put extra roll thrusters on ship 29, which makes total sense. That's something that they probably should have done a little bit earlier, to be fair, because there's only one pair of roll thrusters on ship right now, and so well, not right now. Now it has two pairs, but
Yeah.
before it had one, and the thing is they are located, so we'll talk about the booster side of things as well later, but there was this issue with the filter clogging on the booster, and it happened on the liquid oxygen tank. They didn't say, oh, we're putting more filters on the methane tank. It is on the liquid oxygen tank. The roll control thrusters on the ship, they are also located on the liquid oxygen tank. So if you think about it, that's a lot of a coincidence. But
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, my saddest change that I have to say here with the ship differences is this doesn't have any decals. The ship doesn't feature a sign that says, "Oh, this is ship 29." They didn't do that for some reason for this flight anymore. Maybe just ran out of time. But I like that. I like that touch on the previous vehicles that we could see the serial number and basically could see, hey, this is ship 28 or whatever. So that was cool. I thought that was character. I hope that returns in the future. That's just my little. Please, SpaceX, bring that back. Let me quickly thank some people here because we are getting some very generous support here already, and all over this day we have getting so much support. Thank you so much. Starting with Matt's gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much. And we also have Lars Adloom with gifting a Red Team membership. I hope everybody that receives one here thanks them for that very generous membership gift here. Also, we have G. Hendricks with €6, which is the best currency to use. Super chat saying, make some missing tile merge. Everyone loves the missing tiles. Everyone certainly discusses it. I'm not sure if we'd like it. We will see, and we will talk about why this whole tile and everything issues might become interesting in a bit when we move more in the regulatory side of today. But getting to that. We also have Tammy here becoming a Red Team member. Thank you so much, Tammy. We have Ninja Decimator gifting 5 Red Team memberships. And we have Joseph with a story message saying, keep up the good work, you rock. Thank you so much, Joseph. And let's see what Joseph got from the store, which is a patch, which is in the probably last 10%. I didn't look since about an hour, but we were close to the last 10% when I last looked. So if you want the Flight 4 patch, get it while it's hot, while it's there. Well, yeah, that one. That one. There it is. I'm not sure. Is Alex muted right now?
Sorry, yes, I was
Ryan?
muted. Talking well muted. No, I'm here. Hi. Don't do like this one. Cause it got This one is the third one. This is not anymore. We got sold out essentially, but this one is still there. Very little left, so get it while they're there. Sorry, I have more patches here. One fell on the floor.
Alex, let's quickly talk about the testing regime for Ship 29 versus Ship 28.
Yes.
I hope you can still hear me while you dive below your desk.
Yes. I have my headset on and everything. I can hear you.
So let's talk about the tests.
Sure.
What did they do to Ship 29 in terms of testing? Was that in any way changed from Ship 28? And anything on that front that is notable?
Yeah, so they didn't. So the test that they did with Ship 29 was actually very similar to 28. They did a spin prime test, they did a 6-engine static fire test, and a single engine static fire test with the header tanks essentially. We thought when they did that third test that it was just going to be, like we saw with Ship 28, where they tried that in-flight, relight with the single engine. We were like, okay, well, they're going to be doing that, but apparently, Flight 4 is just going to be going up, stay in space, come back, and land. So there's not going to be any in-space relight or anything. And even the landing burn, because you could argue, well, about the landing burn, it's going to be, a relight of sorts. But yeah, that's going to be with all three engines. It's not going to be with just one engine, which is all they did while on the ground. But still, it was very smooth, very quick. It was actually sort of, I guess, interrupted by a certain other event that happened. Yeah, there was there was this thing called Starship Flight 3 that happened while Ship 29 was out there on the pad to get tested, and well, it only did the spin prime before the flight test, the third flight test, and then it came back to the suborbital pad and was able to complete those two static fire tests. But yeah, talk about being interrupted on your test flights, right? On your test campaigns and everything get interrupted by a launch.
Yeah.
That will no longer happen because now we have the masses test stand with the flame trench and everything. We already saw the other day on Monday that they have the ship 26 did that static fire test. It's already online, that stand, so that's good. So orbital pad B is no more. They have now been done. They're doing work for the overall launch pad too. So that's also good.
Absolutely, and certainly no longer being interrupted by these pesky launches would be nice, so they can test more of their vehicles. But yeah, totally part of the increasing cadence thing, which we have seen and talked from SpaceX and Elon Musk, of course, over and over again. Like, the part of this is not to fly Starship once or fly it once every 2, 3, 4 months. The plan is to get the cadence higher and higher and make sure that you're arriving at a point where this is not only a fully reusable vehicle, but a rapidly reusable vehicle. And yeah, part of this whole proving and part of all of getting all of this done certainly is happening right now with them increasing the turnaround time between flight, not increasing, improving the turnaround time between flights. If they would increase the turnaround time between flights, that would be very suboptimal, actually. So yeah, that's certainly part of all of this. Before we move over to Booster 11, there's one question about the weather here, and I'm not sure if you're 100% on the loop on that, Alex, but do we have so far any indication on the weather? Is there any, tendency of where it is moving? Should we watch out for weather?
I actually looked up yesterday night the cloud cover because that's, at least for me, the most important part for tomorrow, which is watching the launch, right? Actually seeing it. I mean, I'm not going to be there, but we're going to be streaming it. So I obviously wanted to know what is the cloud cover. I think I saw it was around 20% cloud cover. So it's not really a lot. It's just very, some patchy skies and things like that. Some clouds here and there. To be fair, a completely clear sky sometimes might be worse because you don't have any notion of how far away things are or how fast it's moving. Like, if there's a cloud here and there, you can more or less tell where things are going, and I don't know, it just gives you a better perspective of the launch. Yeah, other than that, it's kind of looking really good. The temperature, well, it's already getting hot, a lot hotter than for flight 3 and flight 2, because that was sort of winter, spring and things like that. But yeah, other than that, it's kind of looking good for tomorrow.
Absolutely. I'm also fully agree with you on the whole clouds at kind of context situation, because sometimes if you just see a ship or a booster in front of this blue giant canvas,
Yeah,
it's like you're tracking an object that is kind of without any context. That's the same why sometimes it's hard to grasp how the size of rockets, because they lack a contextual object, which why I always love these shots in our dailies when there's, I don't know, a trash can next to them, or a person, or a car, because that's like an everyday object that you have, well, in your everyday life, that is next to these behemoths of vehicles. And especially with Starship, I feel like, at least for me, until I was there, I underestimated the size. Like, when you're when you just watch it on these cameras, there's this giant tower next to it. There's giant tanks next to it, and you're always like, yeah, it's kind of big. Well, it's way bigger. It's really such an enormous vehicle. So I'm looking forward to see it potentially fly again. And a recap for everybody who missed it so far and is like tuning in and like, why are they talking about the launch? The launch is potentially in 16 hours and 33 minutes. Just to point that out again, we are less than 24 hours away from potentially the biggest rocket of all time launching again. So I hope you're ready for that. Let's start with the first stage here again, because we talked about Ship 29.
Did Ryan just pull this out?
I think he did. It's amazing.
He's now Mr.
Weatherman. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't see it on our preview, so I need to get close to the.
I see partially cloudy. I see. So we are just for you all information. We are looking at the 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. range, like that.
Yeah.
Yes. So we see partially cloudy, high humidity because it's Texas. Well, it's Texas.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. It's very, very humid in Texas. Wind looks chill, actually. Like that's low. That's kind of like Starliner today. I think Starliner was in the range of like 10 kilometers an hour. So this is. I would feel very safe to say this is probably far away from a potential launch violation.
See there, the cloud cover says 58%, but the National Weather Service said 22%. So I don't know what to believe.
I'm now confused as well. It's certainly interesting, but I mean, weather changes. But I feel like thanks, voice in my head. But I feel like it's safe to say, Alex, we are probably not in for a nail biter in the weather. It's probably not going to be the weather that spoils the party tomorrow.
One thing though, there's an advisory for excessive heat. Like, truly take that into account if you're going, because it's very hot down there. It's not only hot but also humid. Take care.
And especially with going to Boca, like for anybody that is going to Boca and like maybe wants to, if you watch this right now and you're maybe after the show want to go quickly see the rocket for one final time, remember, there is no public water in Boca. There is no way to like go to a supermarket to stock up. So please be safe out there and make sure you always have enough water inside of your vehicle. And don't get grilled in the sun. I got a sunburn in Boca the first day I was there because it was cloudy, and I was like, oh, it's cloudy. Nothing can happen to me. Turns out I have a very light skin, and apparently sun can burn you even through clouds. So there's that. Then let's see here. Let's start with Booster 11, Alex. Let's get to the 33 engine thing at the bottom here. What's new about Booster 11? What's happening here? What changes? Is everything the same?
Well, there's a lot of reinforcements on Booster 11. We don't know if all of them are just because of Flight 3. To be fair, there's like on the video that we just published yesterday, you can actually see Booster 9 and Booster 11 next to each other. So these reinforcements were made even before, not all of them, but at least some of the reinforcements were made even before Flight 2 happened, while the booster was being stacked and being, fabricated. So, it might just be down to them having a little bit peace of mind kind of thing, where it's like, just, it flies, it survives, but let's put more protections just in case, and make it better. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Other than that, we know at least from SpaceX that they are increasing the filtering on the liquid oxygen tank to be able to avoid those debris that they had on Flight 2 and Flight 3. We still don't know what those debris are. There's many theories out there of all types. Unfortunately, again, as I was saying, we have no confirmation of what is actually blocking the lines. So there's that. Um, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I think uh, I've already hit the two major ones. Yeah, I
Would
think
you
yeah.
would you say that's fair to say that this is the least amount of changes between Starship's full stacks that we have seen so far? Or like, would you say that's a fair classification of this?
Hmm. There's definitely a lot of commonalities between both vehicles. I'm trying to actually. I'm pulling up my own script. I wrote that 20-minute video that we published yesterday, and I don't remember a thing right now because I'm thinking of tomorrow's launch. I'm like, I really need to get on with. But yeah. Oh, true, true. The hot staging ring. Oh my god. Yeah. I'm so silly. So on the hot staging ring, there's so many things to talk about that alone. There used to be 3 pins that were connecting the two stages together. Now they have added a 4 pin, but it doesn't have a clamp. So these pins, they have like this little kind of thing like this here. Yeah, you cannot see the pins there though. So it's like some kind of triangular kind of shape thing, and they use that to be able to put down the ship onto the boosters. So there are 3 of these pins. There was 3 of these pins, but then in the middle of that triangle, so there's the triangle, and then in the middle there's like this little hook thingy that just essentially, it opens and retracts, and it lets free the whole thing, and then it grabs onto, once it closes, it grabs onto the ship, and the two stages get mated together. There's a lot of people that think that no, it's just held by gravity. No, no, no. There's three clamps there. They do their job. You can see flight one as a proof of those clamps doing their job. Um, but yeah, so they have these clamps, but the 4th pin that they have added to the hot staging ring doesn't have a latch on it or a hook or whatever you want to call it. So it's quite interesting. We don't really know why it's there, but if it only has the guiding side of things, right? The sort of triangle shaped thing, it could just be down to them trying to get these stackings better. Because on flight 2 and flight 3, they had to restack and like destack and restack multiple times to get the alignment right. And so, yeah, there it is. Also, you can actually see it. Oh, here on this picture, right where I have here the finger, that thing there, that's where the ping is located, and we know that because there's like an appendage kind of thing next to it on the outside of the hot staging ring that was added, and we have no idea what it is about. Um, so it could be for some camera, some sensor, some whatever, but we don't really know what it is about. That's one change. The other change, you can see it there as well towards the right. You can see that griffin next to the watermark from Bokachigagal. Thanks, Mary, for the picture. And you can see like 2 pipes coming down from the ship, and one of them connects to another pipe on the hot staging ring. That pipe is the engine chill pipe that ejects gaseous oxygen. Thanks, Ryan. So that is the one that I'm talking about. That has been shortened. It used to be going all the way down, almost to like 3 or 4 rings down the methane tank on the booster. Now it's just to that location, like just a little bit there. Yeah, just there.
I always love how this gives you a false sense of scale for the size of this pipe. By the way, you're like,
You can,
oh, this.
yeah, you can
Right.
fit your head through those holes on the vented interstage.
Yeah, like just to point this out, we have seen people having their head through the hot staging ring grids. Like, this is not a pipe of like this. This is a pipe of like this. That's the pipe size we are talking about here. So don't get confused by this. Or like, oh, these tiny little engine chill lights. No, they're enormous. Just to point this out, because I always, when I see this,
Oh, come on, Ryan! Can you believe what I have to endure here with this
I didn't
guy?
that was so fast.
Oh, come on.
This is perfect. I have nothing to add to this.
Yeah.
Any-
By the way, that pipe. Hang on. Can you put my whatever? Don't pay attention to that. Switch to my view. I'm actually going to show No, but full screen, because otherwise you cannot see the ship. That pipe is this one. Hang on, there. So you can see that pipe that goes down the skirt. That is attached to the booster, and that is where the gaseous oxygen comes off from the ship when it's on engine chill. The methane, because it also has to, Raptor uses methane and oxygen, so both sides, the methane and oxygen side of the Raptor, needs to be chilled down. That's the engine chill. The oxygen is dumped overboard through those pipes, but then there's this other pipe over here. There you go, more or less. That's the methane chill pipe, and it's only used while in space because when it's on the ground, they can recapture the methane. Anyways, I just figured, let's point it out. It's here. We're talking about the engine chill. Watch out for the engine chill when they do the flip. Maybe we'll see it from there.
Absolutely.
That's going to be awesome to see.
I want to see that. And speaking of things to watch out for, I think this is now officially a view that we are getting from one of our deployed assets, which Das and Jack and like so many other people right now in Boca. I should never start giving names. Yeah, but like that's for tomorrow. I said in the pre-show for members, like, there will probably not be a preview for the show. Well, I lied. There it is. We like this view. We are fine with this view, everybody?
I like it, because I can see the OLM vent, and the tower vent, and the chopsticks.
Oh,
and the new tanks. They have changed the launch pad as well. They have added more tanks to the launch site.
Can we get wind to the what's the wind direction? Do we have the wind direction? Because if it goes from west to east, that would blow away the wind from here, right? Because it's kind of like southeast. We are looking right now, right?
We're looking, I guess. It's quite complicated right now because I have my directions. Hang on. Yeah, it should be that way. Should be east.
So we want wind to the east. That would be amazing, because then the vents go away from us, which means we see more. And this is totally a very selfish thing Alex and I want, so we can see indicators better. It's one thing we really like. So yeah, thanks for everybody in the field right now deploying these assets. So the wind is southeast. That means it actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but my wind knowledge that means it goes in that direction, right? Or is it coming from southeast?
I'm
not a weatherman.
I'm not either. Yeah, anyways, just to go back to things that we can actually talk about, should we round down the line of our list of things that...
Absolutely. Before we talk about...
Do it.
I'm curious. I kind of want to thank people first, but let's go this one. Apparently, we are doing this. Are we spoiling graphics now for tomorrow?
It's okay. It's
Cool.
a rehearsal, right?
You like vents? Well, here are all of your vents that you should pay attention for tomorrow, including the OLM vent, the tower vent, which are used before fueling, and then of course
I guess
vehicle-based vents.
We need to fix that overlay, because now the engine chill vent is not that low.
Ryan will be delighted.
Oh yeah.
He loves that.
Oh,
He's
come
probably
on. Why are you showing me full screen now?
I think he's like live fixing it right now. I could see him doing that.
No way.
If he, I don't know. But yeah, certainly an interesting event. Oh no, he's fading you. Yep.
I mean, sure. I kind of prefer seeing the ship 28 re-entry than seeing myself. But anyways.
There's a good chance that tomorrow, once again, you will see Alex and me being totally excited about the fact that plasma exists on a vehicle.
I was mind blown, because it's no, I'm not doing that again, Ryan. I'm being told to put again that camera. But yeah, when I saw this live on the stream, my mind was just blown out because it's like we've seen a lot of reentries, but we've never seen it this way. Like, there's videos from the shuttle or Soyuz pointing a camera out the window or something like that, and it's all just plasma streaking across the windows or something like that. It's not actually seeing the plasma interact with the air surfaces and things like that. It's complicated to get that. So this, yeah, mind blown. There you go. There's your GIF, Elisar.
Yep. Should I thank some support here before we fall too far behind here? Starting with Lars again. Lars Notenboom, gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much for that. Dennis with Storm message saying thank you ever so much for all the coverage. Thank you so much, and they got a Flight 4 patch. Anonymous also getting a Flight 4 patch saying when Hop. Well, Hop, hard to answer, but I have a flight test for you tomorrow. Is that okay? Then we have Joseph also getting a flight patch. I feel like people are getting the flight patch while it's there. Next up, Planet Claire. Julio with the Re-Entry Club t-shirt saying, 7th t-shirt I got from you guys. Keep the great designs coming. We will for sure. We are always cooking new designs up in the background that we like and we want to wear. Anonymous with the song match saying, please don't tell my wife I bought another patch. Since your name is Anonymous, we won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always need to hide it. Andrew with a store message here. Love everyone from NSF, but Alex and Adrian are the A team in my mind. Certainly, we both start with A. That's very accurate. So
Yeah.
I can't.
It's like Sawyer
deflect
being
that.
a steer. So yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
S.
totally. Anonymous here with also getting the flight patch, saying awesome, thanks. Awesome, thanks back. Anonymous, so much from Anonymous today. So excited to see this flight number 4. Go ship 29 and booster 11. I'm lost on numbers. Yes, you're correct. It's ship 29 and booster 11. Richard with a store message saying, let's go Starship. Even though SpaceX seems to have run out of tiles, you can still come back in one piece. I don't think they run out of tiles. I hope. And then also we have Wilbur Baggins gifting a Red Team membership. Thank you so much for that. And we have Gareth Cole also gifting a Red Team membership. And Gray M becoming a Red Team member. And Roshan Nazarov becoming a Capcom member, which gives you access to our membership Discord. So make sure to join that. And also Wilbo, again, with a super chat saying, get some sleep, we need you tomorrow. Alex and I will stack up on sleep after this.
I'll try.
So, Alex, there's this whole thing about the launch license. And I know you have some thoughts. I know you have some thoughts that you really want to say about this launch license, since you didn't have the stage yet to talk about this launch license. There it is, by the way. The commercial space transportation license for Flight 4 of Starship. So, Alex, what's so interesting about this license?
It is interesting because actually I'm gonna have to open it on my own end because it's super small on our preview. Yeah. So the thing with the launch license is that it dropped, by the way, because I've seen a lot of people asking about it. Don't worry, we have a launch license. Starship is good to go tomorrow. But yeah, so we have the new things that have been introduced. There you can see the new things that are being introduced. And well, one of the things that is being sort of changed was using the Starship Super Heavy vehicle to using a Ship 29 Booster 11 Starship Super Heavy vehicle configuration unless this license is modified to remove this term. Then there's another modification where they removed a little segment there where it was like other entry locations for Starship, and then if we scroll a little bit down, there's a third modification that they did, and that was changing to Flight 3 mission only to the one that we have now, which is for the mission profile represented for Flight 4. So my thoughts about this is that it kind of looks like maybe they could launch more than one mission after this. So if you read it literally, how it is spelled out and everything, when it says using a Ship 29 Booster 11 Starship Super Heavy Vehicle configuration, say that 10 times fast, it kind of seems to imply that it is not for the pair of vehicles that are flying on Flight 4, which is 29 and Booster 11, but rather for vehicles that are like those two, right? So, for example, something like Ship 30, Ship 31, Booster 12, Booster 13, those kind of vehicles will still apply because they are not something like version 2, for example, if you think about it. Because, version 2 is coming up, a few ships down the line and things like that. Perhaps a lot more boosters down the line. We'll see about that. And then on the other hand, the third modification says for the mission profile represented for Flight 4. And the mission profile represented for Flight 4 is precisely the one that we have talked about, where the booster lands in the ocean. It is essentially simulating like a virtual catch on the ocean. Meanwhile, the ship goes out to the Indian Ocean, and then it tries to. Well, the license actually sort of, the mission profile represented for Flight 4, the FAA explained on another separate statement that, they had included within this whole paperwork that it could also imply the planned loss of the ship, for example. Like, say they were to launch Ship 26 without flaps and without heat shield, but it is a planned, that thing re-entering will not survive because it doesn't have heat shield or flap, so it could not control its attitude and whatnot. So it will on purpose be expended. That is within the scope. The other thing will be to re-enter, but beforehand, they already expect to lose it during the landing attempt, or what they're doing now, which is like, we're actually trying on purpose to try to go through, actually our goal is to go through the entire reentry and landing softly on the ocean. So those three things are sort of like mission profile represented for Flight 4. So that means they could, in theory, fly Flight 5 with Ship 30 and Booster 12 and not need a new license. But then there's the point of, what do they do with the booster? Right? It's like, this doesn't include a booster landing on the pad. And if you remember, Elon wants to have Flight 5 being a catch of the booster. So we don't know what is going to happen if, well, that catch is also sort of, pending that Booster 11 actually lands successfully on the ocean and simulated virtual catch. So it is quite interesting. I have thoughts, and these are my thoughts essentially, that the wording kind of implies that they could do the next flight if they kept the same profile, but it's like, but technically it's not the same profile. Because the booster, knock on wood, cross your fingers, your arms, whatever rituals you have. If Booster 11 tomorrow lands softly on the ocean and does the whole virtual catch thing, maybe they go with a catch on Flight 5, or maybe they have changed their minds. Maybe that Elon comment was like 2 months ago. It was also Elon, right? It was Elon. So it could be a much later flight as well. So if you think about it, perhaps Flight 5 will just be a repeat of Flight 4, for all we know. And then in that case, it will be something like, okay, well, we're going in and doing it again just to make sure that everything is, good to go, and that they have repeated success one after the other. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I don't know, Adrian, if we've got any questions from the viewers about all of these licensing stuff. We have some time remaining.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to first confirm, by the way, that I have, after I already talked with you yesterday, sent the FAA a question about exactly that, because I want a clarification. Is this relating to exact vehicle combination, which would be Ship 29 or Booster 11? or is this in theory allowing for multiple vehicle stacks with the same kind of combination of vehicle kinds, which would be, for example, Ship 30 and Booster 12. Are these part of this iteration? So we'll see. I didn't have an answer yet. I will report as soon as we get an answer. If they answer that, but working on it.
There's also, I guess, another question with all of this. Like, okay, if they were actually going for the catch, what is the sort of paperwork? They obviously will need another license modification. In that case, if in the case that they actually go for a catch on the next flight, then that will mean that Flight 4 has gone very successful, and therefore not only they don't need a mishap report, but also, we also have had news from the FAA this week that, they're doing, I don't know if maybe the operators can pull this up. It is the test-induced damage overview from the FAA, essentially a way to, like an agreement with the FAA. Hey, look, there's certain parts of our flight where we expect that there's going to be a failure here, and it's a failure where nobody will be endangered if our safety protocols go right. And so that is the thing that, for example, did not go well on Flight 1. Flight 1, if you remember, FTS did not work. Flight 2, the FTS was activated, but one could argue, well, but it was very high up, and the debris could have scattered, and all that jazz. For Flight 3 was a lot easier because you had the ship re-entering over the safety corridor. The booster essentially broke up less than 1 kilometer from the air, so it's a lot easier to convince regulators, right, about the safety of your vehicle when it just breaks down essentially when it's like the last few parts, right? And there you see that's essentially part of the regulations. You can see it's like Title 14, Chapter 3, Subchapter C, Part 450, Subpart C. Like there's this whole thing essentially of what it is all about. And so that is the test-induced damage. That is a way of allowing something that could. There's like another sort of whole section where it talks about mishap, what is considered a mishap and what is considered to be triggering a mishap investigation and things like that. With a test-induced damage, what the operator does is, okay, look, FAA, we have this vehicle, this mission profile, but there's probably going to be some damage here and there, or we're still going to keep safety to the public and things like that. Those are the conditions that you can see there that go all over about, what is the coordination, what are the application requirements and things like that. What essentially the basics, right? What is expected to break up. Make sure that even, when things break, the public is still safe and everything. And that's what they have done for this flight. They have said, the FAA has said, look, okay, we're okay with that. If the ship breaks up and it is not because of FTS and things like that, it's okay. It broke up over the Indian Ocean, the re-entry corridor. It's okay. We'll not trigger a mishap investigation. If the booster breaks up on the way back and it is not for some kind of anomaly of the flight termination system, then we're cool with that. Essentially, if something like Flight 3 were to happen again, just to make like a summary of that, if something like Flight 3 were to happen again on Flight 4, they will not need a mishap investigation. So they could go through and go ahead with Flight 5.
Which is always something that we have always talked about when people are like, oh, the FAA, with these mishap investigation, they try to slow down spaceflight. No, they always did them while they were in an area, especially on the first flight, where they potentially could endanger health and safety. Because if you read on the FAA website about what's actually a mishap report, it's exactly that. It's an investigation about a potential pre-flight, flight, or post-flight event that endangered the health and safety of people. So it totally makes sense that the FAA, now that they are being more confirmed, or like more like they understand Starship now better. They understand the capabilities. They also understand the fact that it's a test program, especially these later parts. And it totally makes sense that the FAA, in combination with SpaceX, are now moving to a step where they're like, okay, this re-entry doesn't have any impact on health and safety for the public. So it totally makes sense to exclude this from a potential mishap report in case they understand it. And that's always the part of this. They need to understand some sort of like the implications of this. And that makes all sense. This is all very reasonable. And from what we can tell, and that's another thing that has been reported over and over again, both by SpaceX and by the FAA, is that there's a very mutual agreement in terms of working together on this, making sure everything is safe, but also not slowing the program. That's like, there's a very, very good understanding, I feel like, on both parties on that. And so far, I think, based on everything we can see on the launch license, but also on the communication of both parties, they're doing a good job on this. They're going through it fast but safe. And again, for this flight, it's not like Starship was there ready now 6 weeks. They received the launch license. Everything looks good to go. It kind of feels like one flow. And so, yeah.
And there's also something to be said about all of this, which is when you have this sort of potential, where it says on the regulations you can have a failure, right? Like it says there, this section applies to license applicants or operators seeking an optional test-induced damage exception, essentially a test flight where you expect something to go wrong. And this is the thing, right? That SpaceX could have applied for something like this, but there's a problem. The application requirement says things like expected outcomes, potential risks, and things like that. It's like, when flying the first flight of a Starship, what kind of outcome they were expecting? I don't think they were expecting to break the pad, to have the flips and loopy loops and everything, and the FTS not working. Now they have a lot more of an understanding of the rocket, right? And it makes sense. Like, these regulations are not some kind of crazy thing that it makes sense. Like, if you want to have a failure, sure, but make sure that at least you understand what kind of failure you can get. If all your if you remember back before the first flight, all we knew was like, maybe it lifts off, right? It was like, maybe it gets off the pad, but that was all we knew. And probably that was, the most that they sort of expected from that flight. Now with 3 flights under their belts, they have a lot more of an understanding of Starship. So of course, they can apply to those things much better.
And there are factors on the first flight which are absolutely part of health and safety. Like not to discuss that away. There are things that happened during flight 1 that at least should be looked at under a point of health and safety. The FTS not properly working is a thing that you should understand to make sure this vehicle is safe. The whole thing of like it starting to tumble and basically tumbling for a whole minute. These are things. If you're an FAA inspector, you will be like, I kind of want to understand how to prevent that in the future. So that makes sense. Also, the whole rock tornado thing. There are parts of this that make sense to do. So I don't want to turn this into a huge protect the situation or protect the FAA situation, but I always want to make sure that we are fair in our coverage. And I see a lot of people that are sometimes
asking questions and
and like it's an open understanding that we try to educate it on, because that's also part of our job here, to educate about what's happening. Let's get some few more questions here in. Quick question here from Chris Hayes to wrap this up. Do we have everything SpaceX needs from the FAA? Or in general, regulatory? Do they have everything, Alex? Are they regulatory go for launch?
Yep. I have seen a lot of people confusing in the chat. Again, we are go for launch. SpaceX is ready for it. Starship is ready. Regulatory side of things was already ready yesterday. Like, all of these things are already, they were ready already yesterday. Say that 10 times fast. But yeah, the whole thing is, we're just less than 16 hours away. You can see there on the top left of your screen. It's a countdown to launch, literal countdown, because we have that clock ticking down. T minus 15 hours, 58 minutes, and 56 seconds to go for Starship's fourth flight.
Yep, absolutely. So this seems to be happening. That's the TLDR of this 1 hour I just had here with Alex is, well, based on everything we can tell, based on everything that every party has communicated, and based on the fact that our team just literally configured remotes here while we were talking here, I think the answer to everything you need to know right now is, as of right now, it seems SpaceX is going for the fourth flight of Starship tomorrow. And there are two great ways to catch up a bit more in depth on what we just talked about. There's, for once, a video Alex wrote and Alicia recorded, which is on the channel. And also, we just published an article written by, me, which is all about the changes to the vehicles, the testing that both vehicles have done. There's the video linked in it as well, so you can do both. You can watch the article, read the article, and watch the video. So if you need to catch up on everything, it's on NASASpaceflight.com now, where you can catch up on everything you need to know about Flight 4. It's our launch article. And thanks again for Chris for helping with the media and everything and getting it ready. So that really helped. And also, we are really, like, I'm not kidding. I see a legit chance that this is no way this is going to last until launch. It might last a few hours into the stream. That's it.
I have the whole collection here. I have an extra 2. Look, but these are not on the store. If you go to, well, not right now, but if you see someone of our people in the field, sometimes you might get one of these, because they have these NSF patches, and so you can get these for free. Well, if you spot them, don't mess with them too much, because they're very busy in the field. But sometimes it's nice.
They tend to, if they have time, like to also chat with you.
And I really I gotta say, I'm doing a little bit of extra promo here, because I tell you this is gone when it's gone, but I really love the red thing.
The red border is so good. This is not me plugging. This is me being a fanboy. Like, I saw that and was like, I love it.
It's like this red. It's like this. See, it kind of looks like it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
This is not us plugging. This is us being fanboys.
And someone said, "Oh, you're showing the Flight 3 patch." Yes, this is already out of stock. You should have bought it earlier. It's already gone. Let me
thank some more people here, because we got a ton of support here, starting with Asher Marco with Storm Matches saying, super cool coverage as always, can't wait for tomorrow, as can we not. Michael with the Storm Match saying, to Mars and beyond. Yes, indeed, that's the cool thing about this. You never know where it ends. Nobby Clark becoming a new Red Team member, thank you so much. DB becoming a new Red Team member. Apocalypse Cow gifting 5 Red Team memberships, thank you for that. Anonymous with the Storm message saying, more launches, more patches, more better. Indeed true. Toby Handley becoming a Patriot member, thank you so much. Mary Jean with Storm message saying, much more respect for all the hard work of the NSF team. Enjoy the launch tomorrow, everyone. Yeah, just again, we have the easy job here right now. Alex and I are sitting here, like, just talking about things we would talk about anyway. But the team out there in the field, sitting there in the heat and getting all of this ready, these are the true heroes of our coverage. So thank everybody in the field. Nibak becoming a Red Team member, thank you so much. Marcus with the Ship 26 fan club in the Storm message, no. And JM87 with the super chat saying, love the work, guys. And with that, I want to point out, of course, the elephant in the room. NSF is going live with the launch coverage stream at 11 p.m. Central Time, which is, oh god, that's like in 7 hours from now, right?
I guess. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Apparently that's in 7 hours from now. Okay, cool. So make sure, if you want to get everything about anything That's the place to be. We'll be live from T-minus 8 hours from the opening of the window all the way to whatever the end is for tomorrow. We will be live. And with that, I want to thank Ryan and Carson behind the scenes for making sure this show ran as smoothly as it did, and also for funny Alex faces and arrows pointing at things. Thank you so much, guys. And I also want to thank Alex. Alex, quick final word. Are you excited? Are you happy for tomorrow? Are you sleeping before tomorrow?
I'm nervous. I'm shaking. I'm excited. Many different adjectives that you could put on me, I guess. Man, it's a fourth flight and it still doesn't get really, like it doesn't really get normal, so to speak. I don't know. And yes, there's a lot of things in my head right now. I don't know if I'll be able to sleep. I only slept like it was not even the night off, and yesterday night I could not sleep more than 5 hours. It was crazy. So I already have in my brain like, oh my god, tomorrow the launch live stream, and then yeah, we have a lot of things in store for tomorrow. And I'm not talking about the merch store, but like for the live stream. No leaks though. No leaks. I'm not leaking anything. Just saying.
Yep. No leaks, but we can tell you there has been. I think we can safely say there's footage prepared. There's cool videos to be shown. There's guests to be talked to. We have a lot in store for tomorrow. So if you're interested in that, make sure to tune in. My name is Adrian Bile. I was your host for today's quick overview about everything you need to know about Starship for tomorrow in a short version. And tomorrow you get the long and very detailed version about everything you need to know. Thanks for watching, and catch some sleep before all of this madness goes. See you there.
And here we go.
We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RS-68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside speed off. Bring in speed off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
The methane will be igniting